What's up, Wave Riders? I'm Peter from Waves and Games, and you're watching Chris, the old-ass retro gamer. Now check out this cool song I wrote.
Hey everyone, Chris, the old-ass retro gamer here. Welcome to the first of two Sony PSP Video Game Collection 2023 live streams. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually sweating. I got home like 3 minutes before the stream was supposed to start, and it's just been a shitty day all around. So have not been in the best of moods today. But we are here. We are live. We're going to talk about some video games. How about that? So the Sony PSP. I mentioned in the Nintendo DS streams that I just finished last week that was not interested at all in the Nintendo DS. I thought it looked gimmicky. I didn't think that the games were going to be fun because you had to use a stylus, at least at the beginning, for pretty much everything. It just sounded horrible. Plus, I'd kind of gotten out of the handheld, gaming realm at that point. I was not interested at all. The Game Boy Color disappointed me. I liked the Game Boy Advance, but I never really played it all that often. I had a lot of really good games. I played a lot of RPGs on it, but I never absolutely loved it. So DS comes out, I'm like, meh. But I was a heavy Sony fanboy at this point because the PS2 was out. It was kind of awesome. PS3 was just on the horizon. And Sony announces this PSP, Sony PlayStation Portable device that uses these small little discs, even smaller than the ones that came that were used for the GameCube. And it looked like not exactly PlayStation 2 graphics, but like a nice approximation between a PS1 and a PS2. It was like a PS 1.5, I guess, in that little thing. And it had a wide screen. It had the ability to be hooked up to a television if you had the 5-prong type of television. I can never remember if it's composite or component. It was just really interesting. You could play movies on it. There were the discs came with there was certain ones that had movies. I owned a bunch of them. So the thing was the PSP came out. At first I was like, that looks kind of cool. Do I actually want that? Because you were getting some ports of some PlayStation 2, sometimes some PlayStation 1 games. It had a digital component too. Was it the one that could you hook these up through? I don't think you could. Well, it had wireless, obviously. You had to update it. I don't remember if the original one did or not. I can't remember. I think the updates all came on the discs. But I was saying to myself, do I really want this? Do I really need it? Am I going to play it? The unit itself was pretty expensive. I remember it was like $250 or $300 or something like that. So at the time that it came out, I finally said, okay, I like what I'm seeing. I do have a little bit more free time now. I had just moved into a different position at work, at my old job, got a little bit of a raise, so I had some extra money that I could use toward it. So I decided, okay, let's do it. Let's get the PSP. I bought 3 games on day one, and I really fell in love with this thing. I thought it was the coolest thing ever because you're getting the disc quality cutscenes. You're getting really good music. It had a analog thumbstick that was kind of their version of Sony's version of the DualShock controllers, which you only had one, which is the sad thing. It had shoulder buttons. It was all contained. It wasn't the original version was a little wide, but it was a little thick, but it was comfortable in the hands. And it had some really interesting games. You're getting continuations from franchises that had started on the other consoles, like on the PS1 and the PS2. You're getting sequels to them or spin-offs from them or to them on the console, which was kind of cool. Getting a really cool original games. Like I said, you can get movies, the newest movies that were coming out on DVD at the time, you could buy and watch on the go. This is before we had cell phones that could do this kind of thing. So that was pretty awesome. So I bought it. Got 3 games, played the crap out of it. I brought it to work all the time. I was playing it on my breaks. I was playing it on my lunch. I was playing it at home on the couch, on the crapper. I was playing it all the time. Eventually, just like with all my other handhelds, I eventually got bored with it and ended up selling it and my collection. And I had a lot of games for this thing. I sold everything to GameStop and got the Ion drum kit for Rock Band 2. This was that really expensive drum kit that was like a professional. Like you could hook it up to a computer and actually use it as a drum kit, as if you're in a band kind of thing. It was that good. And I still have that. But eventually when I got back into collecting, one of the first things I did was started looking at like the PSP games, seeing how much they were going for, how much the console was. The console itself, there was two versions. There's the fat and thin, and there were like multiple versions of the thin one as far as I remember. There was like especially in Japan, they were like crazy. But it was a little bit out of my price range at the beginning. I was finding PSP games everywhere, and they were dirt cheap. At the very beginning, when I got back into collecting at the end of 2013, I remember hitting up my local half-price books. The day that I decided that I was going to get back into collecting, I had already amassed like a bunch of movies and loose video games and stuff and books that I wanted to get rid of that I would never watch again, or I had on Blu-ray or whatever. Just had been stacking up for like a year. Finally, I said, the hell with it. I'm taking it to Half Price Books, and this will be the credit that I get will be what starts my video game collecting. And I bought a lot of PSP games that first few times I hit that place up. They were like dirt cheap. I was getting like RPGs that were like good for like $2, $3, complete in the box. It was fantastic. And eventually, one of my coworkers learned about me getting back into collecting. She was friends with me on Facebook. She saw me posting the old ass retro gamer videos, the links to the videos on my Facebook page. And she comes to work one day and she's got this box and she like puts it on my desk and she's like, this is for you. And I'm like, what is this? She's like, well, this all belonged to my ex-husband. He left this all in my closet. I've been meaning to get rid of it. You can have it. She didn't even ask for money. I think she was expecting me to throw some money at her, but since she never asked for it and she was just kind of like, this is yours. I was like, oh, she's giving it to me for free. That's awesome. And I ended up getting a PSP in that box, a bunch of movies, a bunch of games, and a bunch of import stuff. It was pretty fantastic. Although I will say that the PSP she gave me was loaded with porn. The memory card in there was absolutely like I was wondering, like when I first booted it up, the problem was though, it hadn't been booted up to the point where like it had been sitting in that closet for so long that the battery had like expanded and like swollen, had gotten all swollen and didn't take a charge anymore. And I guess at one point, either she or her kid or her ex-husband, maybe this is before they got divorced, tried to boot it up. And since the thing wouldn't hold a charge anymore, it like bricked. So I had to buy this, I think it was called a Pandora battery and this little memory card thing. And I had to do this whole process to get it to even boot up for the first time. And it basically rebooted the whole console itself back to like factory standards or whatever it was. But the memory card that was in there that that was bought by the ex-husband was still in there and was untouched. So the first time I booted it up and like was like, oh, okay, what's the memory thing or stick on this like? And saw that it was just chock full of porn. I was like, oh my God. And it was some nasty stuff. So immediately I was like, delete. I cleaned the console thoroughly because who knows where this has been, what it has seen, what it's been, a part of. So it now is my primary PSP. And it is one of the second edition versions of it. It is the Star Wars edition. It has Vader on the back. And you know me, I like my Star Wars and trying to get that complete Star Wars video game console set. So this is kind of cool that I got a Star Wars PSP. But yes, I had to clean this thing, nooks and crannies and everything, because I did not want to get any surprises. Like I'm playing a game and all of a sudden, like, why is there a pubic hair on my thumb? Ah! And then that battery that I had bought to replace the one that was crappy got all swollen too about a year ago. And it turns out, because I bought that one off of like Amazon, I guess they've been sitting in the warehouse for years already. Add that on, I guess it only lasted for like 7 or 8 years. And luckily I was at my local retro store with Rocket Sauce and the Q Dogs. and Rocket Sauce was talking about getting a new battery for one of his, I think it was a Wii U, his Wii U pad. And I was like, oh, they have the PSP batteries that I need one of those too. So this is now my primary PSP. I just still have a charge because I played this not too long ago. No, it's dead. But then about a year later, one of my other coworkers was like, oh, my wife doesn't want me to have any of this video game stuff anymore. I'm awesome for taking time to do. Oh, I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad somebody can sit here and enjoy it. I'm just happy you're here. He goes, yeah, my wife doesn't want this stuff sitting in the closet anymore. I'll sell this thing to you for like $20 or $30 or whatever. I think it was $30. And I was like, it'd be fun to have a backup. So he sold me his little second generation PSP, and this one is completely silver. And this was sitting in a closet for years and years and years, because you can tell I had to like grab the Goo Gone and strip this thing, because it was like caked with dust that had like, it looked like it had gotten baked on. But this one works as well. Sometimes if I want to give this one a rest, I'll take the battery out, put it in this one, that kind of thing. So I have 2 working PSPs, which is fantastic. And then there's the games. It's one of my favorite consoles to collect for. I keep finding interesting things that I had no clue existed, and especially at conventions. Like every time I go to the Midwest Gaming Classic, I come back with a game that I never knew was around at all, like back in the day. There were so many games for this damn thing. I don't know if it was actually success. I think it was successful. I think it was the Vita that was the failure. But like, I did not realize just how many games came out for this damn thing. So like I said, every time I go to a convention, I'm going to the Mo Game Con this weekend. I'm pretty sure I'll find another one there while I'm hunting around the sales floor. So I have a good amount of interesting stuff, and I'm going to start talking about it now. So here we go. First game is, this one is still sealed. I haven't had a chance to try it out yet, but I hear it's not good, although it is a part of a franchise I love. And that is The Third Birthday. This is basically Parasite Eve 3, but from what I understand, it forgoes the RPG aspect of the first game. I guess the second game kind of became just like a Resident Evil kind of game with some light RPG elements, and this one just goes for a completely third-person action style gameplay instead of any RPG elements at all, which I know upset a lot of people. I found this, of all places, at a Savers, brand new. A Savers, like what do they call it anywhere else in the country? Value Village or something. So I did not want to pass that up. I was surprised that I found a sealed game at a Savers where most of the stuff there looks like somebody was like hiding it up their butt when they were crossing the border somewhere. But brand spanking new, and like even the seals are perfect. Like no one even touched this, so can't really tell you what it's like since I haven't played. I've just watched footage of it online, so that's that. Aya Braya. Me and my licensed games. This is one I didn't know existed, even though I did own a PSP probably when this game came out, but I don't think this got any press at all. And that is 300 Rise to Glory, I think it's called. March to Glory. And it's a 3D beat 'em up that I guess takes place during the movie. You're playing through the events of the film. I played it briefly when I first got it to make sure that it worked, but I have not played it since. But yeah, there's what the PSP games look like, the UMDs in that little case. I got a story. I don't know if that game might come up tonight, where I have the story about the lady that I yelled at the half-price books. What's up, TJ? Got rough at the end. I haven't played it yet. I still need to beat the second one. That's probably one of the reasons why I haven't even bothered. But it was okay when I played, but licensed games, they can go either way. They can either be surprisingly fun or shockingly terrible. This one, it seemed okay. Another licensed game, this one I have played at great length. I never beat it, but I thought it was pretty fun. That's Aliens versus Predator Requiem, another game that I had no clue came out for this console at all. I went and saw the movie in the theater opening day. Opening day was Christmas Day. My parents went to Ohio for the holidays, and I didn't want to go with them. So I ended up staying home by myself for the holiday, and I spent my Christmas going to see this in the theater and regretting my life decisions. But you never know when it comes to like these aliens or these Predator games. So I picked it up like I think for $5 at GameStop before they got rid of all the PSP stuff. So this is probably 2014, I want to say, when I got this. And it's a third-person action game where you're playing as the Predator, and you're kind of sort of going through the events of the movie. Most of the time, you're just hunting down the aliens, and if a human gets in the way, oh well, kind of thing. It's pretty fun. It is a little clunky because the thumbstick on the PSP, it's not the greatest. Like I would say with the Vita, they perfected it, but with the PSP, it's not. It doesn't control the greatest. I can't remember where I got this at. But we got one of those Armored Core games. Armored Core, what is that? Formula Front Extreme Battle. Oh, no, I got this at my new local store. I got this at Video Games Then and Now. And, you know, if you've played a Armored Core game, they're third-person mech games. I don't know if this one was developed by... Yeah, it was. From Software did this one. From Software, right there. So that's pretty rad. I haven't played this one other than to check out to see if it works or not. Did something just fall out of here? No. It's my imagination. Shadow play. But I like the Armored Core games. I like a good mech game. Oh, it's because this case is broken. That's fantastic. Awesome. I need to get a new case. Well, that explains why I probably paid like $3 or $4. I remember I have never paid more than $5 for a PSP game at my new local store. I remember I picked this one up off of Amazon, and that is Atari Classics Evolved. It's just a bunch of classic Atari 2600 games, just kind of given like a little bit of a facelift. So they don't look, you know, horrible on your PSP screen. So you got like Pong, and you got Pong or Classic, and then like Pong where it looks like you're on a tennis court. Missile Command, like the old school version, and then like what do they call it? Evolved version. 11 Classics, Asteroids Deluxe, Battlezone, Centipede, Lunar Lander, Millipede, Missile Command, Pong, Super Breakout, Tempest, and Warlords. I don't remember if I've played Tempest on this yet, but I wonder if it's like Tempest 2000, because that would be awesome. Over 30 unlockable Atari 2600 titles, battled out via wireless multiplayer, available on Warlords and Battlezone. That's pretty rad. But I love me a good classic games compilation, and playing it on the go, hell yeah, I got some awesome compilations coming up. I still haven't opened this. I still got the tape on it from the Video Games Then and Now. I took the label off, though. But had to have at least one game of in the Blaze Blue. Is it Blaze Blue or Blaze Blue? I always called it Blaze Blue. But this is Blaze Blue Portable, although I think that is a subtitle underneath. Calamity Shift, I think, or Calamity Trigger. Portable. I love these fighting games because I love the graphical style. Like the art style is pretty awesome, and the moves are crazy, and they're really fun. I mean, it's like playing Guilty Gear and all that other kind of stuff. It's just like a really cool retro Capcom-y fighting game series. I absolutely love it. So having one on the go, I had to have at least one. I think there's one other one. I don't have that. I think I got this with Captain Algebra at the exchange down the street, but that is Blazing Souls Axelate. That is a stupid subtitle. And this is an RPG. I have not played a whole lot. It says over 40 hours of gameplay, though. Shape the revival of the world from the burning ashes of war. Ooh, Blaze, yeah. See, I always call it, I know some people call it Blaz, and I always call it Blaze Blue, but there's no E in the Blaze part, so I always ignore it. But yeah, I still have not played this because RPG. So yeah, it looks kind of decent. It looks like it has like some tactical stuff going on too. So there's that. This is probably, I think, the first PSP game I bought when I got back into collecting. I remember getting this at Half Price Books that first day that I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, where I sold all that stuff and just used all the credit that I got to buy whatever games I could get, you know, with that money. And I remember buying this, going like, holy crap, like RPGs are usually expensive. Why is this like so cheap? And it is Brave Story New Traveler. I'd never heard of this back in the day. This is an RPG. And it's kind of cool that like it's a horizontal image on the cover. But yeah, RPG, have not played it. I bought it 2013, basically December 2013, and have not played it other than to put it in the PSP and see if it needed an update or something and to see if it worked. And it did. God, I have a problem. Is that a good problem or a bad problem? So like I was saying, you've got a bunch of like franchises from the big consoles, like the home consoles, coming over here. You either got a port or a spin-off or a sequel that's exclusive to the PSP. So we got one of those Brothers in Arms games, D-Day, from Gearbox, first-person shooter, World War II, still popular at the time. What's up, 8-Bit? Mo GameCon, hell yeah! I'm prepared. So prepared. Gonna play that Micro Mages and finish that game, hopefully. Are you going, TJ? You and Mega Man? The problem with first-person shooters on the PSP is that little thumbstick. Sometimes it just does not work out right. Sometimes it's all right. There's some games that I have. I don't know if it's this one. I think it's the Resistance game that I thought was okay. This one, it's a little problematic. Micro Mages, hell yeah. We're going to get a beat tweet on that one. Or, well, it's not a tweet technically anymore. Is it a beat X? But yeah, World War II, first-person shooter. I mean, I love them, but FPSs on the PSP, not the greatest. Which leads us to Call of Duty Roads to Victory. This is another exclusive first-person shooter. You got some airplane stuff to mix it up. This one I remember playing okay, but it wasn't as good as the other one that we'll talk about a little bit later. I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk about that one tonight or if it's going to be next week. But I'm all about the first-person shooters, you guys know, so even if it's terrible, I will buy it. But I remember Call of Duty being okay. And then we're talking about the compilations with that Atari compilation. These are fantastic. So we got two of these. Which one is... Yeah, I guess this one. So we got Capcom Classics Collection Reloaded. I can never remember which one of these is which. It says reload the memories, get retro, and reload with 15 famed classics from back in the day. Play any game, any which way. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so this is the one that was just the straight ports. I get this one, the other one mixed up. So this one has 1942, 1943, Street Fighter II, Ghosts and Goblins, the series, Commando, Eco Fighters, King of the Dragons, Knights of the Round, and more, which is fantastic. Like I said, I love me a good compilation of retro games, especially arcade games. And it's weird that, like, even the Street Fighter II port we got on the Super Nintendo way back in the 90s, it was good. It wasn't close to being arcade perfect. It's weird playing an arcade perfect port of Street Fighter II in a freaking handheld console. That's like this big. So super happy about that. And at the same time, I found the Capcom Classics Collection Remixed. This is the one that has the new versions of the games. So 20 of Capcom's greatest games now can be played anywhere, anytime. Relive the glory of the original Street Fighter. Who would want to? Master the art of loop-de-loops. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Okay, sneak peek of Capcom's new PSP system, Ultimate Ghouls and Ghosts. Yeah. So Sidearms, 1941, Legendary Wings, Forgotten Worlds, Black Tiger. That was from Ready Player One. Strider, Final Fight, Bionic Commando, Three Wonders, Revengers, Block, Captain Commando, Last Duel, Mega Twins, Varth, Magic Sword, Street Fighter, Section Z, Quiz and Dragons, and the Speed Rumbler. I thought this was the one that was like updated versions, or is this just another compilation? Is that why I'm always getting confused about which is which, but they're actually the same? I always thought when you say remixed that it means you got like a new version of it. Whatever. Compilations are awesome. I love them. Speaking of, I got this one dirt cheap. I think it's actually pretty expensive now, but when I got this at the very beginning of my collecting, I want to say I only paid like $10 for this thing, and now it's like I'm not like to the point where I'm not going to buy that. But it's the Castlevania, the Dracula X Chronicles. This has Castlevania Rondo of Blood and Castlevania Symphony of the Night on one disc. And this is the Turbo CD version, but I think it's been tweaked a little bit, so you can go back and play through the game as the female character or something like that. I know there was something that was changed, but I don't care. I played through most of Rondo of Blood on this before I actually got my my PC Engine CD version to know that I really wanted the original version of it, even though it's, all the dialogue is spoken in Japanese or German. But Symphony of the Night is like an absolute classic. But I still have never beaten it. And now that I'm definitely into the Metroidvania type games, I think I don't have an excuse anymore. But absolutely love that one. Here's another one that I can tell that I got this at my new local store because it's been taped shut, and that's how the dude does things there. Let me cut this open and see if it actually has a manual because the label's been taken off. Yep, we got the manual and all that. Is this a replacement disc cover? I think so. Doesn't have the UMD branding on it. Well, whatever. It is Crash of the Titans. And I do believe this is a port of a game that is on the PS2. I can check right here because I have my PS2. Crash Tag Team, Crash Twinsanity, Crash Nitro Kart. No, maybe it isn't. I cannot remember. Crash of the Titans or whatever. It looks like just your post PS1 version of a Crash Bandicoot game. Have not played it because I do not even own the first one. So why would I play any of them? Replace disc covers. Like I said, wait till I get. I don't know if it's going to be tonight. It might be. Well, I can check. No, it won't be tonight. It'll be next week that I talk about when I yelled at the lady at the Half Price Books for what she did to one of these games right in front of me, which is sad because it's really expensive import. But found this in Wisconsin. I don't know if you were with us when we found this one last summer, or I found this one last summer, TJ. But Crazy Taxi Fair Wars. Another one that I had no clue freaking existed. But here we are. I'm holding it in my hand. I don't know if this is like a spin-off or whatever. It just looks like it's Crazy Taxi 1 just optimized for the PSP. Over 30 mini games, customize your soundtrack, compete in head-to-head battles, and do your standard Crazy Taxi stuff. So there we go. And why did my AC turn off? It is hot as hail in here. I'll be right back. I'm going to go jack that thing up real quick. Skibbity bebop. Come on, let's go. There we go. Switched itself off. It was like starting to get hot here. I'm like, why is it hot? Oh, I can't hear the AC. What the hell? Anyway, what did I miss? Have I ever had a PSP battery explode? No, it got close though. Like I said, the Star Wars one that I got from my coworker, like I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't turn on. And then when I opened up the battery case, like that thing was like that thick. It was swollen as hell. This battery cover was like bulging. It couldn't clip together. And I was wondering why whenever I would try to like hold it in my hand to look at it, the plate would fall off. And then I opened it up and I was like, oh shit. But I've never seen one explode. Pretty sure they did when they're at the garbage dump. I feel sorry for anyone standing around. Just the original. Oh yeah, it's just the original Crazy Taxi with some mini games. That's cool. Let me see. Do I have anything above me that is relevant? No, because it won't be until next week that I talk about those. Okay. So next up we have Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. Didn't this just get that port to the PS5? So now they're porting PSP games. They're so desperate for content, they're porting PSP games that nobody remembers to the major consoles. But yeah, it's an RPG, and I think this one is more of a beat 'em up. It's kind of like the new style, if I remember right, where it's kind of like a beat 'em up. But yeah, it's a continuation of the story from Final Fantasy VII, which I've never beat. I'm still trying to play through Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS5, so we'll see how that goes. And if I end up liking that when I'm done, I'll pick up the port of Crisis Core. Absolutely had to get this. I think Metal Jesus talked about it in one of his Hidden Gem streams. And then I found it like 2 days later at that disc replay joint I always talk about that isn't in existence anymore. But it's called Crush, and it's like a puzzle platformer game. It says challenge your mind, change your world. Play inside the mind of Danny, an insomniac and this wacky puzzler. Manipulate the landscape of Danny's dreams from 2D to 3D and back again in order to help him conquer his impossible past. Every enemy and obstacle you overcome brings Danny closer to a full night's sleep. So it looked interesting in the video. I honestly don't remember much about it other than testing it out when I first got it. But it looked pretty cool in this video, which is why I picked it up when I saw it like 2 or 3 days later. Got a remaster on modern consoles. The only difference is the voices, costumes have the Advent Children stuff. Oh, the movie stuff, and the sword is different. It's bastards. But is it worth buying? This one, hell yeah. I know TJ is going to love this, but it's Darkstalkers Chronicle, the Chaos Tower. Cool thing about this is I think it does have one of the actual games on it. I don't know if it's Vampire Savior or what. But it has a 2D beat 'em up in it, I think, as well. If this is the one I'm thinking of. I know the other one does. I think this has the 2D beat 'em up in it as well. Plays 18 infamous Darkstalkers, fight head-to-head with friends anytime, anywhere. 5 gameplay modes: Arcade, Network, Tower, Chronicle, and Training. I think Chronicle is the 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up. Best version of Darkstalkers, hells yeah. I remember I picked this one up dirt cheap at that disc replay joint, brought it home, and I was like, oh, I got to, drop a deuce. Perfect time to test out my PSP game that I just bought, right? And I remember plopping down, that was an operative word, and playing this, and I was like, holy shit, like, this is fantastic. Like, the beat-em-up thing, woo! No beat-em-up. Which was the one I'm thinking of? I thought this one was the beat-em-up mode. Is it the other one that I'm thinking of over here? Yep. My bad, y'all. Hey, like I said, I've been pissed off all day. I haven't had anything to eat. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I got stressed out. I got a pack tonight. So, yeah. I remember playing this on the toilet and being like, fuck yeah. So, absolutely love Darkstalkers. This one, I want to say that I had this back when I originally had a PSP, but I can't be positive. But Deadhead Fred, and it's like a horror comedy game, third person. Get your head in the game as you use the all-new head swapping system to take on the powers of 9 unique noggins to get revenge on the man who took yours. Head swapping. So I want to say that I had this back in the day because I look at the cover and it makes me think I did, but I don't remember. But I got that at that disc replay also. These two I got at Half Price Books like a year apart, I want to say. I am thinking of Guilty Gear Judgment. Yeah, spoiler alert. That's the beat 'em up one. Death Jr. and Death Jr. 2 Root of Evil. These are like 3D action adventure games like Mario 64 kind of thing where you're playing as like little mini Death. And the second one is just more of the same. I've only played a little bit of the first one. And I think the second one got a port to one of the major consoles. I want to say it was like the Wii or something. Because I remember seeing it somewhere. I didn't pick it up. But it seems okay. I'm not the biggest on Mario 64, and like a lot of games like that just remind me of it. This one I had definitely have not played, but I remember buying this one and coming home and be like, oh, the little snap things on the case are broken. No wonder it was held together with a piece of tape. But Disgaea Infinity or Infinite, if I looked at the spine, I would have known. Disgaea Infinite. So it's like a strategy RPG. I don't know where this fits into the timeline of the franchise. If this is like a side story or a remake or what. Maybe if I read the back, but it is so dark in here. Like I said, it doesn't look dark in the stream. It is actually quite dark in here. Just the camera is compensating for lack of light. I can't read this. It is such small type. Yeah, I can't read that. Damn it. But I know Disgaea is a strategy, like a tactical RPG. This one actually came in a box protector, which I thought was funny. I'll take it out for now. But I remember getting this one on eBay. And that is Dissidia Final Fantasy. It comes with a slip. And this is, I do believe, the fighting game one. Ooh, registration card. I get Square Enix member points. Ooh, serial code. This is the one that's the fighting game. It's like a 3D fighting game. I only played it for a little bit when I first got it because it kind of made me curious about a fighting game with Final Fantasy characters, and it's a little overly complicated. But if I'm remembering correctly, I thought it was okay, which is why it's still in my collection. So if anybody that is going to Mo GameCon knows, if the people that vend there will actually take trade, because I've got some of those really expensive sealed DS games that I want to trade off for bigger and better things if I can. This one I bought because I was genuinely curious, and it's just as bad as the movie that it's based on. And that is Dragon Ball Evolution. I've watched a little bit of the original Dragon Ball cartoon, and I couldn't get into it. And then everyone I know back in the early 2000s and late 90s, early 2000s were talking about Dragon Ball Z being awesome. So I tried watching that, couldn't get into it. But when the live-action movie came out, I did not go see it in the movie theater. I did rent it through Netflix, like when you would rent discs through Netflix. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty awful. But naturally, I see the game based on said awful movie, and I immediately want to own it. I did not know that this came out, but it is a one-on-one fighting game with the characters from the movie. Yay. Just as bad as the film. That movie was so freaking awful. Oh, man. What's up, Mondane? All the fun can start now. Hell yeah! Welcome, Mondane. Next up, we got this. I got because of Metal Jesus talking about it in a Hidden Gems video, and it's Dragoneer's Aria, and this is an RPG. I cannot tell you what kind because I cannot read this because it is so freaking dark in here. But it looks like it has a naked lady on the back. Cover your eyes, children. Look at the bottom, the girl with the green hair. Oh no, I see side boob. But I do believe this is like an RPG, but I cannot remember. It's been a while since I bought it and I tested it. Can't remember all these games. I can't remember what every one of them is like. These are the ones that Mondane was curious about that I picked up at Midwest Gaming Classic, this past April. And I randomly came across, like I said, every time I go to a convention, I find PSP games that I never knew existed. And these were the ones from this year's convention. And that is Dungeon Master Hunting Ground and Dungeon Master 2, The Hidden War. So you have full RPGs to play in both of these that, they obviously connect and all that. But each of them also has a make-your-own RPG mode, like RPG Maker, built into them. And the options get better in the sequel compared to the first. I have not tried these out yet. Like I said, I just got these in April. but they look pretty freaking sick. Especially if you can do stuff like those spells that look like are going on in the pictures, like in the games that you design, like the dungeons you design. So that's pretty fantastic. So had to have those. Even Church, who was hanging out with me at the time when I bought those, was kind of like, huh, boobs. You thought you were done? You're never done. You and TJ should talk. You're both Vita boys. Next up, we've got Dungeon Siege Throne of Agony. This is a dungeon crawler. Dungeon Siege is a PC series. It got one game. I think Dungeon Siege 3 came out on the PS3 and the 360. I think I had it for the PS3. I think I do. But yeah, this is like a spin-off. I don't know if it's a remake of one of the other games. But yeah, over 100 monstrous, familiar Dungeon Siege favorites to play with all new creatures, all new adventure, developed exclusively for the PSP. So this is its own thing. It's not a port. Viva la Vita! I love my Vita. I just don't play it as much as I should. But absolutely have to have a dungeon crawler to play on the go. Speaking of which, this is one that I did not know about, and my old retro game shop had this. Was it People Play Games? And I remember I saw this, and there's another one that you're going to see later on. I don't know if it's going to be tonight or next week. But when I saw this one, and it's kind of funny that this is the license that it ended up being because of what I'm doing now. Monday knows what I'm talking about. Oh, it finally finished. I saw your short where you're like, yeah, it'll come out eventually, and then you showed what your render engine was, how long the timeline. I was like, God damn, dude. But I absolutely love this, and it is Dungeons and Dragons Tactics. Didn't know this existed until I went to People Play Games. So it is like a mix between a dungeon crawler and a tactic game, and it is pretty freaking awesome. I absolutely love it. I need to spend more time playing it. I talked about this in one of my recent shorts. I think it was tactical RPGs you need to play on the PSP. Yeah, I think that was it. But I need to play through this. Maybe I'll bring it with me to Mo GameCon this weekend. Play it, at the Airbnb or whatever. But it's absolutely fantastic. Had to get this one. It has cool stuff on it, but there's just one specific thing I wanted this for. And that is this EA, Electronic Arts Replay compilation. And it has Road Rash, Syndicate. I'm happy that Syndicate's on here. Mutant League Football. Sure, why not? Desert Strike. All right, fine. Play that on the go. But the one that I wanted it for was Wing Commander. I can play Wing Commander in the palm of my hand now, on the go. Absolutely had to have that. Love me some Wing Commander. And it actually plays pretty damn well on here, even though you don't have nearly enough buttons like on a keyboard that you need to play it properly. But the combinations aren't too crazy like it is with the 3DO version of Part 3. But it is absolutely fantastic. All the other games are represented pretty well. But I got that mainly for Wing Commander. Syndicate's cool. I like Syndicate because it's cyberpunky. So when I was doing the PS2 streams, I was talking about all those games that I picked up on Amazon when I first got back into collecting that were like a penny each. And this is the only PSP game that I got in that sale. And it's called Every Extend Extra. For a while, this and Brave Story New Traveler were the only PSP games I owned, I want to say for a good few months. But it is a puzzle rhythm game. And I love my rhythm games, so I absolutely had to get that. Choose from an addictive... I thought that was an A. That's a 5. I'm not legally blind, guys. Choose from 5 addictive game modes, including wireless head-to-head play. Experience the fusion of hypnotic visuals, pulsating music, and ingenious puzzle action. Ooh, I love me a good rhythm game. Absolutely had to have at least one for this console, too. This one, is this the one that this is the one that I got from a pawn shop. I bought it on, I do believe it was Amazon. And it turns out that the pawn shop, turns out the seller was a pawn shop. And not only that, but it was a pawn shop that's right down it doesn't exist anymore, but it was right down the street from me. So essentially, the guy who was going to ship this to me took my shipping money, from eBay, and walked over here and dropped it in my mailbox. So the day that I paid for this, the guy delivered it. I remember I went outside, or no, I got home from work because I bought this when I was at work. I got home from work and it was already in my mailbox. I'm like, what the hell? So I looked it up on eBay and it turns out the store is right down the street. So the guy just like either drove over here or walked over here, rode a bike over here. I don't know. That I laughed so freaking hard. But yeah, this is a platform puzzler that I have not played too extensively, but I do believe this is available on a few other consoles as well. But, yep. This one I got because of Metal Jesus also. He talked about it in either a pickup or a Hidden Gems video. But Fading Shadows, that's a pretty rad cover too. Looks like a metal album cover. But this is, I do believe, a dungeon crawler. Entirely unique style of action, packed puzzle gameplay, 40 single-player levels, 10 multiplayer levels, stunning graphics, visual effects, competitive wireless multiplayer game modes, riveting and immersive storyline. Or is it just puzzle game? I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a long time. But it looks pretty cool. I love that cover art, though. That cover art is the shit. Did it only say shipping, or did it say shipping and handling? I don't remember. Dude, that was so long ago. That was probably 2015. I don't remember. I just remember I bought it at work that day on my lunch break, and when I got home from work that day, it was in my mailbox. And then when I looked it up, it was the guy just walked it over. So there was 2 games that I got for a penny on that Amazon sale. This was the other one. Fat Princess Fistful of Cake. Fat Princess, I think, was it was available on the PS3. I remember it was like one of those games you got for free for signing up for the PlayStation service with the PS3, the online service. Eventually got a port over to the PSP, but it's a tower defense style game. And I remember I played the one on the PS3 at a decent length. I got a couple of trophies, I remember. And it's pretty fun. It just gets old really quick, like most of these types of games do, at least for me. But, playing it on the go, oh shit, the cartridges or the disc is loose. God damn. But, having options on the go is good. I talked about this in one of my shorts where I was talking about strategy games. When I was talking about bringing my PSP to like work all the time and playing it on my breaks and my lunches and all that kind of stuff, who the hell is texting the shit out of me right now? Field Commander. It looks generic. That is a generic cover if there ever was one. But it was released by Sony themselves, and it is a super fun action strategy game where you basically have, your troops or your vehicles, and they have a certain amount of movement that they can do each turn and attack. Basically clear the screen of the enemy, and don't get destroyed yourself. And it is super, super fun. This is the game that I credit with getting me back into like strategy style games. It was this, and then like about a year or two later, I rented the first XCOM game that came out on the PS3, and I was done. That was it. It was good. Well, GameCon hype. What's up, everybody? You blame Noi. These are still sealed. Well, at least one of them was. Are the other ones? Oh shit! Don't. Oh, a couple of them are. Uh-oh. Who the hell is texting the hell out of me right now? Although this is the favorites version, so But we got the original Final Fantasy. They re-released pretty much every Final Fantasy game on this console. Yep, that one is too. That one is okay. I remember I got this on when I was talking during the Nintendo DS streams about having those sealed Dragon Quest games that I got for like less than $10 off that Square Enix website sale, that clearance sale that they had. I got these there as well. So it is kind of like a remaster of the original Final Fantasy that was on the NES. So you got some upgraded graphics and everything, and some cinematics and better music and all that kind of stuff. And now it's widescreen instead of 4:3 and all that. Haven't played it because it's still sealed. TJ bringing gargoyles. Oh, you guys got a hotel this year? Oh, you're the video game. Okay. And then we also have Final Fantasy 2. This is the favorites version of this. I'm not a fan of these favorites versions. These are like the greatest hits. But yeah, same concept. Part 2, the real Part 2, not Part 4. That got remastered or like remade over here, just with some graphical upgrades and CGI cutscenes and better music and all that kind of thing. But yeah. And of course, I had to have this one because this is my favorite Final Fantasy game, and this one has extra. And that is Final Fantasy IV, the complete collection. So I don't know if it got released in Japan on the Super Nintendo, if they released like a special edition of Final Fantasy IV or whatever, but this has Final Fantasy IV and the After Years, which is like the little epilogue type of thing to go along with it, to follow the original game. And if there's more Final Fantasy IV, I'm all for it, because Final Fantasy IV, who the hell is texting me? This is a pretty much a basic port. It's not like the upgraded ones like the other ones, although I do think this has some extra CGI cutscenes and stuff. But Final Fantasy IV is my all-time favorite Final Fantasy game, so absolutely had to have that. Stay at the Airbnb with us. Yeah, with 30 of us in one place. Yeah. Also had to get Final Fantasy Tactics, The Way of the Lions. I don't know if this is considered like a sequel to Final Fantasy Tactics or if this is just a port with some upgrades, from the PlayStation 1 version. But tactical RPG, which I really love. I really do like Final Fantasy Tactics. This is one of those other games that I think got me into it. I remember the guy that sold me his PSP, the silver one that I was talking about at the beginning, my coworker, I've known him for like 23 years. And he was one of the people that introduced me to D&D. He was playing the D&D game that I played way back in like 2007. And I remember it was him, my buddy's ex-wife at the time, and they were sitting there in between, like while we were playing, and the DM guy was coming up with new stuff because we threw him for a loop, and he was trying to come up with something. They would boot their PSPs up while we were waiting for him to come up with whatever we're going to do and play Final Fantasy Tactics for about 10, 15 minutes while he would come up with a new scenario for us or whatever. It was really strange. They were like addicted to it, to the point where they actually came up with a physical board game version of this. They liked it that much. They made us beta test it during one of our sessions. Instead of playing D&D that night, we played the beta version of their Final Fantasy Tactics board game. It's an upgrade. They patched some stuff. That's good. This one is still sealed, and it's another licensed game. This is another favorite shit. But Gladiator Begins. What? Did we really need a prequel to Gladiator? But it's a third-person beat-em-up that's all about arena combat. Yay! Still sealed. Have not played it. I wanted to get it just because I was like, did we really need a Gladiator? Like, do we really need a video game prequel to an Oscar-winning movie? Apparently so. And it was sold so much, it got a greatest hits version. Had no clue that existed back in the day. Absolutely had to get this because I love me some Gradius. We got the Gradius collection. This has the original Gradius 2, Gradius 3, Gradius 4, and Gradius 5 all on one little UMD. Not like these games are, memory whores, but yeah, you can fit all five of them on one little disc. And I love me some shmups, so I absolutely had to have this so I can play some shmup action on the go. And they are pretty fantastic ports. And this one I picked up because why not? I remember everybody talking about this back in the day when I had a PSP. One of my coworkers at my old job had a PSP as well, and he kept on asking me when I was going to buy this, and I kept on telling him I wasn't interested because I wasn't really into these types of games back then. But it's Grand Theft Auto, Liberty City Stories. So I was not an open world game fan back when they were like starting off, like with Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City and all that. I just couldn't get into them. Nowadays, I'll play them all month, all year, all the decade. I'm not making any sense. But back then, I couldn't get into them, so I was not going to buy a portable version. It's not going to be any better. It's still the same mechanics and everything, so why would I waste my money on something I'm not going to like? I like it now, though, but it's like a side story the Grand Theft Auto series. And now we have Grip Shift. I don't remember if Metal Jesus talked about this one in one of his videos or not, but I remember I got this at my new local shop, Video Games Then and Now. And it's a racing game that I would equate to like playing with Hot Wheels or something. So it's like you have these ridiculous tracks with loops and all this kind of stuff and rocket cars. And it's actually pretty fun. It's got a little bit of micro machines going on too. You can see that you're playing on a pool table and all that, but it's pretty rad. I like it a lot. It's really fun, arcadey racing game. Here's the one, TJ. Here it is. So we've got the Guilty Gear Judgment. This is the one that has not only a one-on-one fighting game, which Guilty Gear normally is, this has the side-scrolling beat-em-up side game in there as well. Yeah, I always get these mixed up. And I love me Guilty Gear just like I love that Blaze Blue. The graphical style, the characters, the moves, everything about it is just like so extreme and off the wall and crazy. And having a beat-em-up version of it, hell to the yeah. It's fantastic. I got this because of Scott Squatch. You just made a comeback recently. Hadn't heard from him in like almost a decade. I actually interviewed him in person. Me for my old show Toasty that I used to do with my buddy Josh. We actually met him at one of the concert venues because he tours with Korn. He's like one of the roadies for Korn. And they came to Illinois, but they were like way west. And we went and picked him up. And went looking for a place to sit down and interview him, and we ended up picking a bus station, like a little bus waiting terminal thing that's on the side of the road. And it was entertaining. He's a fun guy. He could tell that we were kind of like nervous of meeting a complete stranger and just interviewing him out of nowhere, but he made it fun. So I'm glad to see that he came back. I just wish that I was around the areas where he garage sales at because he's always finding some awesome stuff. But he talked about this in one of his videos. And I immediately went on eBay and bought a copy. So it's absolutely amazeballs. You saw him at Siege. Cool guy. Yeah. I look up Toasty Show on YouTube. You'll see the episode where we interviewed him. Your PSP taught me what an MP3 player was. I found out that PSPs will play porn. Like I said at the top of the show when my coworker gave me her ex-husband's PSP. And I finally got it working and found out that the memory stick was just filled with nothing but really graphic, like gross porn, like grody porn. It was nasty. Then we have I don't know if this is considered a sequel or a sidequel, but Gun Showdown. Gun is a really rad third-person like Western game. Thomas Jane provides the voice of the main character in the actual console games. I think he does it in this too, but it's third-person Western game. You get to ride horses, do shootouts, and all that kind of stuff. It's an open world style game. So back then I would not have enjoyed this, but I enjoy it quite a lot now. It's like the precursor to Red Dead Redemption. Super cool. This one I picked up because I realized what it was. I never heard of it before. I saw this at the disc replay that I used to go to that doesn't exist anymore by my work. And I saw this on the shelf and I went like, that sounds familiar. I was like, I know this has something to do with something important. And I looked it up on my phone, and it turns out that this was designed by the guy who designed the Game Boy. And it's even named after him. The guy's name was Gunpei Yokoi, and apparently he designed this game before he died. And it's called Gunpei. And it's a puzzle game where you have like little sticks and balls and stuff. And I have not spent a lot of time with it, but I do believe it also has like a rhythm section or a rhythm aspect to it. Gaming legend delivers his puzzle masterpiece. Originally created by the late Gunpei Yokoi, winner of the GDC 2003 Lifetime Achievement Award, and the legend behind some of the game industry's greatest hardware and software successes comes Gunpei, a modern masterpiece of puzzle gameplay. And I saw it on the shelf, and I was like, I absolutely have to have it. The guy designed the freaking Game Boy. So it looks pretty cool. I haven't spent a lot of time playing it, but I really need to. Got to pour a little bit out for Gunpei in my mouth. And I did get some on the floor just then, too. Yep. This one I was trying to find forever, and I ended up finding this at the Midwest Gaming Classic, I think I think it was the first one that I went. No, the second one that I went to. So that was 2016, I think. That is a Half Minute Hero. So it's like an action RPG, But the thing is, you have 30 seconds to win the game. So you get as far as you possibly can in the 30 seconds they give you, and then you die, and then you start over. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. Everything that you've picked up or learned in that 30 seconds carries over to the next loop, and then you try to get a little bit further, and then you loop back, and then you try to get a little bit further, and then it just keeps on going until you eventually win the game. It's a crazy, cool idea, and it sounds weird, but it is a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. I didn't beat it, though, but it is like unique, and I had to try it out, and I love it. Classy, I drool on myself all the time. Still haven't played this one, or the other one that I picked up. Every time I would see one of these games, I would buy it because I heard that they were worth something, So I picked up Harvest Moon. What is that? Hero of Leaf Valley. I honestly have no interest in these games. It's like a farming simulator and a romance simulator. Like gotta find your wife and get married and have the kids so they can till the fields. Oh, don't forget to go to town and sell your carrot crops. Doesn't really sound all that interesting. I hear they're really fun, but I have a couple of these across different systems, and I was basically buying them so that later on down the line I could sell them, but I haven't. Almost burped there. Does this have the sticker? Yep. I remember picking this one up at Game Dude when I visited my brother in like 2016. Gesundheit, thank me. But Hellboy, The Science of Evil, this also came out on the PS3. I have not picked up the PS3 version, but I got this at Game Dude for like $8 or something. You can see it's still got the Game Dude sticker at the top there. But it's a 3D beat 'em up where you're playing as Hellboy. It's not related to any of the movies, although it does have the models that look like the characters from the movies, but it's not related to the movies. You're not playing through one of them. It's an original story. But yeah, I remember being okay. I remember the PS3 version got like the worst reviews, which is why I never bought it back in the day. But for $8, I was willing to pick that up because I love me some Hellboy. Got this one at, was it a Salvation Army, or was this I think I got this at a Salvation Army. But the Hustle, Detroit Streets, I probably should just get rid of this because I'm never going to play it. But it's basically pool hustling. It's like a Color of Money, the game, where you're playing pool for money. Doesn't that sound exciting? But then again, at the same time, I really do like a good game of like digital pool. It's really fun to get your like geometry, stretch your geometry skills. Like, if I bank it over here, will hit this ball over here, make that go into the hole? Yeah, I used to be really good at geometry. That was like my math class. Captain Algebra, I was the geometry guy. Had a buddy in college that laughed at me because he really wanted a Harvest Moon on the Wii, but ended up trying it and sort of like that they are addicted. Yeah. This one I did have back in the day, and I loved it. I remember bringing this one to work when I wasn't playing Field Commander. I was playing this, and that is Infected. This is the bloodiest game on the PSP. Soundtrack includes Slipknot, El Nino, Chimera, and more. It's basically just kill as many zombies as you possibly can, as fast as you can. It is pretty cool. It's very basic, but I had a good time playing it. I remember like playing this during a meeting. We had a meeting on like the third floor of the building, and I was sitting all the way in the back. I turned the sound off, and I was playing this in the back of the room, and I had like two people, sitting on either side of me, going like, "What are you doing?" Just watching me play it over my shoulder. It's really fun. What's up, Man Boy Cave? Il Nino, yeah, I remember them from the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack. Never want to be. This one is still sealed too. This is the other Harvest Moon game. I found this. I think it was at the exchange. I remember that. I don't remember if it was when Captain Algebra visited that one time and we went game hunting, or if I went there like the week after he came and I found this. But this one is Innocent Life, a futuristic Harvest Moon, and it's still sealed. Maybe I should sell this one off. So yeah, Harvest Moon in the future. So get a future wife, have future kids so they can till your future crops and then go and sell your future carrots at the future town. Sure. Why not? And drive your future car because everyone's doing it. I'm going to look into that after the stream and see if I should bring it with me to the convention, see if I can trade it away. Jackass, the game, had to get this mostly out of curiosity. Like, how in the hell is this going to translate to a video game? Still haven't played it. But it also came out on the PS2, I think. But it looks like it's just a bunch of mini games about the different types of stunts that the Jackass crew normally does. You can see Johnny Knoxville strapped to the bullseye getting hit with the paintball pellets and stuff like that. I just want to torture Steve-O and Bam Margera. But I had to pick this up just out of morbid curiosity. Like, how is that going to work? And still haven't put any time into it. This one I picked up at Half Price Books. I remember that. And it was not that expensive. None of the games I was picking up at the beginning were expensive at all. But Jeanne d'Arc, or Joan of Arc, and this, I do believe, is a strategy RPG. A tale where history meets fantasy. Yeah, it's a strategy RPG, and it looks pretty rad. I remember watching, what was it, Boss and Burf, if anyone remembers Boss and Burf. Met him at the Midwest Gaming Classic the first 2 times that I went. He was supposed to be on our panel the third year that I went, but he bailed. But he was streaming this at one point. He hooked up his PSP to his... what's it called? His Elgato or whatever, and he was streaming it on YouTube. And I was watching. I was like, I'm glad I picked that one up. It actually looks pretty cool. This one, I hear, is one of the craziest games I own. But Kenka Bancho Badass Rumble. So I picked this one up at that disc replay joint. I remember I found this there. It was like $10. I picked it up because I never heard of it, and it was by Atlas. Or Atlas released it. And you know Atlas stuff, that stuff only just gets more expensive as you go, and the back of it looked nutty. And then, like, 6 months later, Metal Jesus talks about this in one of his Hidden Gems videos, and I was like, I'm glad I picked it up when I did. But, like, you're talking to a banana, and it's obviously a beat 'em up, but what was it about this that I thought was kind of cool? Team up a special 2-player cooperative? No. Create an anti-hero of your own from over 100 heinous and hilarious fighting moves. So I don't know if that was it. You had 1 week to make the city yours. Do you explore, search for romance, rampage through the town in a banana skirt? There was something about this game that I thought was kind of cool. I don't think it was the make your own character thing. I think it had something to do with the soundtrack or something, but there was something that I thought was pretty cool about it, but I can't remember what it was. This one is still sealed. It's a favorite, of course. But this is one of those like sequels or spin-offs to existing games on the major consoles. So we got Killzone Liberation. This is a first-person shooter. This came out between Killzone, I think, 2 and 3 on the PS2 and the PS3. But I haven't played it, obviously. It is still sealed. But, yay. And this is... No, this one is not sealed. It looks like it's sealed. Oh, no, this one is what's sealed. Oh, shit. This is one of the games I had originally on the PSP when I first got it back when it was released, and that is Kingdom of Paradise. And I wanted to get this because it was giving me like Jade Empire vibes. And I loved Jade Empire on the Xbox. That was like the martial arts RPG game that was like playing Knights of the Old Republic. And that's kind of what this is. It's like an action RPG where you're doing martial arts. And it was pretty fun. I didn't beat it or anything like that, but I enjoyed it. I didn't play it a whole lot, but when I played it was fun. But the cover is very super generic. This one I remember getting at the Midwest Gaming Classic. It is still sealed, but I do not want to get rid of this one because I still want to play this one. And it's available on the DS too, but I can't imagine the DS version being any better than the PSP one. But that is Knights in the Nightmare, another Atlas RPG. And I wanted to get this because I remember somebody talked about this in a YouTube video, and I was like, that looks absolutely crazy. I think I need that in my life. And I have not played it because, like I said, it is still sealed, but it looks absolutely nuts. Is it a beat 'em up or is it an RPG? I can't remember. Complex Tactics plus Fantasy Bullet Hell. That was it. Bullet Hell Action, the most innovative PSP RPG on the PSP. It's RPG, but the fights happen like as a bullet hell shooter. That was why I wanted it. It's been a while, and I haven't played it because it's still sealed. But absolutely wanted that one. I remember my friend, I got it when I got that Polarium game that I was talking about on the DS last week or the week before. Had to have this because of the whole Psygnosis thing where I was trying to get all the Psygnosis games, and I kind of gave up on that. But got to have a copy of Lemmings on every console. I'm sure if Peter's here, he's probably crapping his pants over this. Absolutely thrilled to see another copy of Lemmings in my collection. I probably have like 10 copies of Lemmings. But it's a puzzle game, puzzle platformer kind of thing where you are basically God, assuming or like trying to save all these lemmings before they fall to their deaths, assigning like roles to each one of them so they can do something specific to help them live. Like, oh, you can dig a hole here, so you can stop walking into the walls, or here you be the one that stops people from walking off the cliff by putting out your hands and saying stop, kind of thing. It's all right. Kept Psygnosis alive for decades. And then we have both of these. Yep. We got both of the Loco Roco or Loco Rocco, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it, games. And I've never actually played these. Tilt, Roll, and Bounce with the Loco Roco. Get rolling and discover. Oh, so this is the one where you turn when you move the controls, the world turns. And you're okay. Yeah. I didn't want to play. I think I had Loco Roco 2 before I had Loco Roco 1, which is why I never played them. I was waiting. And I just got the first one not too long ago. But they are cutesy puzzle platformers. So. And another sealed one. I don't remember where I got this. I think Metal Jesus talked about this in a video. But this is another RPG, I do believe. But Lord of Arcana. It's another Square Enix. Oh, no, I got this from Square Enix on during their sale. That clearance sale there. So I probably paid less than $5 for this. But yeah, it looks like an RPG. Obviously, it's from Square Enix, so why wouldn't it be? This has multiplayer also? I guess so. And the last game I'm going to talk about tonight is another one that I talked about in the short, where I talked about the Dungeons & Dragons tactics, and that's Lord of the Rings tactics. Another one that I had no clue existed. The amount of ways that Electronic Arts was able to use the Lord of the Rings license, it was really, really cool, other than just making the obvious ones that are ports, like of the movies that were released, but like the Third Age, let's make an RPG set in the world of Lord of the Rings kind of thing. That's awesome. Making a tactics game. But yeah, it's a tactical RPG where you play as most of the characters from. It's more based on the books than the movie, which is fine with me. But you do get to see like it seems to take more from the books than the films, but the models of everything, like everything looks like it did in the movies, which is kind of strange, but whatever. But it is fun. I did like it enough to talk about it in that short that I did about tactical RPGs on the PSP. So there's that. So yeah, that's it for today. I probably won't be releasing a short. I got a bad itch on the back of my leg. God damn. I probably won't be releasing a short tomorrow because traveling. Mo Game Con this weekend. It'll be awesome. Captain Algebra will be there. TJ will be there. 8-Bit Glitch will be there. I don't think Peter came in tonight, but Peter will be there. And it's going to be a blast. G-Nerd will be there. Midwest Media Show will be there. Mega Matt will be there. So I will be back on Monday, though, because that's the last day of July, and I'll be doing my monthly pickup stream, which will include everything that I got at Mo Game Con, aside from the movies and video games and whatevers that I picked up this month before the con. So stay tuned for that. I will be definitely talking about those, or I'll definitely be picking up quite a lot of stuff. I didn't think I was going to be looking for anything specific, but as I've been going through looking for things to sell and stuff like that, I'm like, oh yeah, there's that. I'm missing that game in that series. I'm missing this in that series. I'm like, wow, I'm missing all these games that I thought I had kind of thing. So now I do have things I'm looking for. Peter knows what they are. I asked him to remember them for me. So I'll be back Monday evening, 8:30 p.m. Central for the monthly pickup stream and the Mo Game Con pickups. So stay tuned for that. And then I think it's the first weekend of August. We will be playing D&D again. My Twitch channel, twitch.tv/theoldassretrogamer. And we will be streaming episode 7 of my Tides of Flame campaign. Mondane will be there. Church the Game Grinder will be there. And a bunch of my other friends will be there as well. And it'll be awesome because I've been working like a dog trying to get some things worked into the story. And I need to talk to Mondane about something that I do. Do a short from the car. Hell no, I'm driving, bro. So I will talk to you all later. If you're going to be at Mo GameCon this weekend, other than the obvious people that I know will be there, come up and say hi to any or all of us. We're all nice, approachable people. So have a good night, everybody. Wow, the numbers just keep going up for the viewers just as I'm ending the damn stream. It sucks. So have a good evening, everybody. Stay safe out there. I'll hopefully see you on Monday evening. Chris, the old ass retro gamer, out. Cool is Mo GameCon gonna be? It's gonna be this cool. You heard me.